All right, welcome everybody to what is this, week 3 Zoom call for our book club. Super excited about it. If I sound out of breath, it's because I was right over here jumping around, doing some like 10 rounds punching moves and stuff, getting in state for this call. I've had an absolutely awesome day. I dug an igloo with my kids. We just got out of the hot tub, and hot tubs just make me tired and drain my energy. So I had to get the energy back up with some good music and some dancing around so that we could be here. And that's some of the things that we're learning in this book, right? Habits to create to be a high performer. So here we are. Let me just recap where we're at, and I'll start us off today. We are page 120, like 6 or 7 from Raise Necessity, all the way up to increase productivity to the start of that one. So I love this section. I even had some of my coaches that can't be on these calls live. The people that I work with were messaging me that were working really hard. It's kind of a takeaway I got on different parts of their own health and fitness transformation or their business, but then kind of like put the brakes on, slowed down after hitting certain goals. And they were like, this is exactly the chapter that I needed about raising necessity. So I absolutely loved it. I'll try not to share too much because you guys know how I am already. But remind me at the end of this, I need a volunteer to host the meeting next week. I will be flying to Denver, Colorado. I'm probably going to meet Ricky for the first time in real life as well. But I'm going out to a ski retreat with some friends, and that's our travel day. So I don't know how the service will be. I'll be landed, but we'll be in a rental car trying to pick up groceries and moving around. So get a hold of me if anyone wants to host that next week. That would be awesome if we could do that. So next, the thing that I wanted to share right at the beginning of Raise Necessity chapter, I have it right here. Okay. He was talking about, he does all these, what's the word? Tests with people. Like he does like quizzes with high performers and figures out, what makes them a high performer. And it's part of the test that we took at the beginning, right? In the first couple chapters. But he said, when you have high necessity, you strongly agree with this statement. I feel a deep emotional drive and commitment to succeeding, and it consistently forces me to work hard, stay disciplined, and push myself. So I really love that aspect. But the next page, on page 131, I love this part where it says, you must get emotionally committed to what you are doing and reach that point where success or whatever outcome you're after is not just an occasional preference, but a soul deep necessity. And then this chapter is the how. And I just think that's a great reminder, because if you're raising your kids or you're building a business, a lot of times we get caught up in the how-tos. Like I'll give an example in business. For example, how do I market? How do I tell my story? How do I make new connections? How do I make the sell? How do I do a follow-up? How do I make an Instagram reel? How do I run a support group or community, right? All of the how-tos. A lot of times I see people get so wrapped up in all of the how-tos, and then you just see your wheels spinning and spinning and spinning and making no progress because the main focus is not on this part. And I'm going to repeat it again. You must get more emotionally committed to what you are doing and reach the point where success or whatever outcome you're after is not just occasional preference, but a soul deep necessity. So getting super clear on why it is what you're doing, and that necessity for making that happen. So I think back to when I started my journey, and if you're a coach of mine, you've probably heard this a million times, so I'm sorry that you got to hear it again. But when I first started, I worked a 12-hour day, 5 to 5. I would get home. I would have 3 little kids, 3 daughters at the time, ages 5, 3, and 6 weeks old. The day I started my business, my youngest was about 6 weeks old. I would have just barely picked them up from the babysitter after an exhausting 12-hour work day. I would feed them, bathe them, change the diapers, get them in bed, and then I would work on my business, even though I was exhausted and super tired. And then I would get up and do that over and over. And I did that for an entire year with my wife at work at night. So if you think back, why did I do that, or what drove me to do that, or to grow the skills and everything that I need to make that happen? It's the fact that there was a deep necessity. That's why I love this chapter. And you'll hear me call it a why often, a why or necessity, as Brendan is calling it here. It's like I was done working like 12-hour days for 5 years straight and having my wife work nights and I work days, like living two separate lives. So there was a necessity for me to live my life and have my family live our lives in a way where it wasn't just paycheck to paycheck, and it wasn't that we had to live separate lives, that she raised the kids in the day and I raised them at night. So as you can imagine, I love this chapter on necessity. And then Leonardo da Vinci has a little quote there. It says, necessity is the mistress and guide of nature. Necessity is the theme and inventress of nature, her curb and the eternal law. And I'm going to go just to the next page and share one last thing, and then I'll pass it on. It's where it says high personal standards and commitment to excellence. The quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of their chosen field of endeavor. And so when you look at somebody, you're like, Ricky has a great life. He's in the Caribbean. He's out riding his bike. He's healthy at the age he's at. I can guarantee you that it's because his quality of life that you see, or that I see, is a direct proportion of his commitment to excellence, regardless of his chosen field. And it's like a great example, because I'm here. This is all kind of stemmed out of my business, what I get to do with my coaches, leading our challengers through their health and fitness programs, helping other coaches build their business. And I see Ricky, like, he's one of my clients. For those of you that haven't been on when he said that at the beginning, one of my drinking the shake, and he does workouts, and then he goes out and does his own stuff as well. He chose to be a part of this book club, just like each of you guys did. And he's in a whole different field. Ricky, remind what you do. You sell, you lead a team, and is it insurance?
No, I own a real estate company. It's a real estate franchise overseas.
Yeah. Okay. Real estate franchise overseas. So Ricky has an endeavor, that he has. I have an endeavor, and each of you guys have one. But I can see that commitment to excellence, like understanding that he's working hard on his health and fitness, but also his quality of life, getting out with his family, and making that an importance as well. So I love that chapter. I could talk forever on the necessity chapter, but I'm going to pass it on to someone else now. See what your guys' takeaways are. And don't be shy.
Hey, Scotty, I can go ahead and share mine real quick.
What's up, Matt?
So it's kind of early on, and he's talking about the internal forces. He talks about the internal forces and the external forces that drive necessity. And it was really just the question that he asked and posed right at the beginning. And the question was, have you ever noticed that you feel guilty when you're not living your values or being the best version of yourself? And I'll tell you, that's one thing that really affects me and has affected me for a long time. Whenever I'm not, whenever I don't feel like I'm living to my best or living out my values to the absolute extent, I tend to get quiet and start to kind of drift off into the background. If you ever see, the memes, I think everybody's probably see the gif of Homer Simpson kind of fading back into the trees. And when I get into this place mentally, that's what I feel like I do, which is the worst thing. And so if I fail or am not hitting the mark where I feel like I should be hitting the mark in certain areas, it starts to affect every aspect. And talking specifically of this business, if there are certain aspects that I'm not achieving and doing doing well, then I start to fade back. And it's something that I fight really hard. But one thing that really drove me to think about is when that happens, what is happening to me is I'm allowing those internal forces of guilt, of shame, of whatever it might be, to allow me to forget what my necessity is, to forget why I started in the first place. And so, I think one of the things I haven't always done a good job of is writing down exactly what my necessity is, what my why is, and continually reviewing that, so that even whenever I get into those times of not reaching my peak, I guess I would say, being able to review that, being able to see that, and not forget my necessity, not forget my why to drive that necessity, would keep me going. So I kind of jumped around a little bit there, but it just really spoke to me because it's kind of the place that I'm at right now. Is I feel like I've really pulled back, and not for lack of desire, but just personal guilt, shame, embarrassment. You list all the words, but it really draws me back instead of driving me forward, and that's what I need to work on.
I love that we have this space where we can talk about those things. Because as you were sharing that stuff, I was thinking, man, how often when we're not meeting regularly like this, have people maybe felt like you have? Because I've certainly felt like that and drifted off and never came back or re-engaged in what they wanted in their why. As you were talking, it reminded me of a part in this I've just found on the next page that I want to just celebrate Matt on for doing. He said, I found them more than willing to face their faults and address their weakness. They don't avoid the conversation. They don't pretend to be perfect. Indeed, they want to talk about how to improve, because at their core, their identity and enjoyment in life are tied to growth. So I love that you shared that with us, Matt, because you just shared a trait of being a high performer by sharing that. Awesome. Who else wants to share? What's up, Kim?
Yes, I can go. For me, I found it interesting, and I highlighted the passage on page 140. It says, when you're passionate about what you do, people understand. And when you're obsessed, they think you're mad. That's the difference. And I find myself feeling obsessed all the time about what we do, but pulling back so that people won't think I'm mad. So that little passage was really kind of made me stop and have that little aha moment. Like, successful people are mad, and you just need to get comfortable with being mad. Or not mad like in an angry way, but mad like just crazy. This is what you do, and you're like beyond passionate. So that part I really struggle with for myself, because I want to fit in, so there's that part where I have to figure out how to find the balance between fitting in and feeling like part of a community, but also being a leader and getting uncomfortable and being obsessed. So this has been interesting for me to read this. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just hearing you say that, I want you to know you fit in here no matter what, just for being who you are. And then even more so when you get obsessed about it, like you could be obsessed with it right alongside me. And
that's what I love about being here. So I'm grateful.
Yeah. And he says reckless obsession for mastering something that makes us feel imperative to perform at high levels. And one thing I want to just remind you of, Michelle, and I've just seen it over and over in my life, as you get obsessed about something, growing a skill in some aspect, whether in your coaching business, whatever that skill might be, as you get more obsessed about it, you'll attract other people that are like that, and not have to try to downplay who you are to fit in with someone that doesn't meet your standards and who you want to be in the future. Cool. Who else? If I'm like fidgety, I've been in a snow cave for like 2 hours and it's 7 degrees outside. So my body's just warming back up, and I've been like in a hole digging with a little shovel.
I can go.
Yes.
Okay, so the story of the Marine running towards enemy fire to save one of his friends, that really hit hard and made me realize how grateful we have to be to our armed forces and how easy my life is. So it also made me remember, a big goal that I have. I have 4 grandchildren. Okay, and many of my friends, we're the same age group, and they have grandchildren too, and everybody wants to enjoy their grandchildren. Well, and that's fine, but my goal is bigger than that. I want to enjoy my great grandchildren. So that's gonna be maybe 25, 30 years from now. My grandchildren are going to be having babies. I hope so, and I want to be here. I want to be here strong and healthy to enjoy my great grandchildren. That's a big goal, and that's my necessity. It has become a necessity to me, and a necessity in my eyes is something that is whatever you decide the necessity to be, right? So this was a very, very super good chapter for me. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Necessity is basically the same as your why, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Your why.
That's how I read it. Yeah.
I was just in awe, just thinking about you riding your bike and doing all the things you're at with grandkids. And I'm like, I was in the snow cave for a couple hours. I'm all stiff and sore. I'm like, I gotta like dial in my nutrition a little bit more, do more stretching and yoga if I want to be able to truly enjoy my grandkids and great grandkids as well.
Yeah, there you go. Totally. You can do it. Totally.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Who else wants to share?
I'll share.
Yes.
So I think this is the first like personal development book I've like committed to reading. Like I'll read like a couple chapters and then put it down and get distracted and listen to a podcast or like, so this is like a really good push for me to just like read it cover to cover and not like actually commit. But I've been listening to it on Audible. You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I'm listening to it on Audible while I do my workouts. And like honestly, the first chapter I was like rolling my eyes. I was like, oh, another book about how great people are. Right. And then I was like remembering what I learned like at the very beginning of coaching about like ego, right? And how like, and I was like, my ego must have gotten really big the time that I last like a personal development book. So then once I started listening again, I was like, okay, I'm going to approach this like a different way. Whatever the topic is, I just have to be, ready to learn. And now I hear the words differently. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I'm not so like, chip on my shoulder. I can't do this, all these excuses filling my head. So I don't know if that's what you were going for, but it's just, it was a good lesson to me.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I want you to know in these calls, we're not going for anything. We want to know what you're experiencing, what you're thinking, what you're going through. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I've definitely felt like that before too. I've even seen myself do that when I have not been performing at my highest ability, because I've seen over my 12 years, there's times when I've been a really good high performer. And then there's been times when I'm being a low performer. And it's almost every time that I'm at the low performer point when I see someone else and I'm like, well, yeah. And it's like I make excuses like I don't want to sacrifice all of my family time that I work so hard for, like all these excuses that don't make any sense. Like I could do that too. I would say things like I could do that too again if I wanted to, but I'm in a different place. I'm like, that's ego talking. Instead of being like,
totally,
okay, what is this person doing that's seeing such massive success right now? And how can I learn from them, and just being curious again?
Right.
Yeah. Instead of being like, I know how to do this, but now's not my time, or there's excuses, right?
Right.
So yeah, I love that. I think we've all been there too.
I'll go.
Yes.
So, first of all, when I saw how many pages we were having to read each week, I panicked because I am a slow reader. It takes me like 2 months to read 170 pages usually, and I've done it in 2 weeks. So I know that I have the fire, and I'm loving this book because it's helping me to face some realities that I mean, it's like come to Jesus moments with my life. I really loved the part about keeping the fire. For me, that's really hard. Living on an island, I'm kind of like Ricky, you're very isolated. Your reach is only so far. And the part about the identity, obsession, and deadlines, high performers like necessity. In fact, they need it. When it's gone, their fire is gone. So I went through and took each of those, the identity, obsession, duty, and deadlines, and I kind of broke it down because I was wondering what's changed since last year, because I had such a fire in my belly, especially after Summit. I mean, man, that was just amazing. I remember standing in that lobby with you and Matt and I think Tate was, I don't know who all was there, but we set some really big goals, and that just put this fire in my belly. So I went back to my identity and what I wanted to prove to myself, not to anybody else, but to myself, that a 65-year-old woman could get to diamond in this business. And so early on in the year, I had set that goal to do it, and I didn't hit it, and then I didn't hit it, and then I didn't hit it. And even by August or July was Summit, I still hadn't hit it. And when I left that convention, I had this fire, and then it fizzled out on me because I got COVID. So it kind of like deflated my ego a bit. But I was obsessed with it, and I worked really hard, and I wasn't afraid to ask people if they were interested. And so then the duty part was I felt a duty to myself, and then to them and my family, since I walked I walked away from a high five-figure income to retire to no income whatsoever. And that was a scary thing. And so now for me, my duty is to help build that back up, to help support my family. And I'm terrified that if something happens to my husband, I'm not at an age where I don't want to go out and get a job. I'm very unemployable. I'm a terrible employee. I don't like to be told what to do. So when I didn't hit that deadline, I didn't mean it. It was the first time that I didn't quit. It was the first time in my life I didn't quit. I didn't walk away when it was frustrating. And I don't think this business is hard, but it's frustrating because it's sort of like selling real estate. Buyers are liars, They'll go out and buy a car right before their loan's supposed to close, and then that disqualifies them from their financing, and especially right now if you can even get financing. But anyway, so I just wanted to share that. So now here we are in 2023, and I need to go back and be that woman I was last year at this time, with that driving force to prove myself once again. I am a 2-star diamond coach.
Love that. You are. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
I have more, but I'm letting other people talk first.
I can go. So on 137, I liked sometimes the fastest way to get back in the game is to expect something from yourself again. And so I'm a mom of 2 young kids, 4, and my son just turned 7. I'm now in the 40 club. The energy is not there anymore. Whereas it was, before I had kids. And I read this book and I'm like, wow, I used to be a high performer. That's so cool. Like, these things are all the things I used to do. And then I got through that stage where I'm like, I feel so lost now. Like, what happened? And it's not me blaming the kids. It's just figuring out where I put all that energy that I used to dive into, me when I could be selfish. And I was talking to a friend about this. She said, you say you're lost and you're not the person you were before, but who were you before? And I explained to her, like, I was someone who's on fire, and I was social, and I was involved, and I was focused and goal oriented, like all these things that we're reading in this book that you're like, oh, these high performers do that. And I realized, like, wow, I do all of that stuff, but now it's just put into my kids. I'm a high performer as a mom for my kids, but I forgot to continue to do it for me. Like, I forgot to put the oxygen mask on me first. So now I have to get back into the game and, as he said here, expect something from yourself again. And I need to expect it for myself kind of selfishly, so I can continue to do those things for others, but not just my kids. I invested so much into them. So the next sentence he says is, go ahead and tie your identity to doing a good job. And for anyone who is a parent, especially moms, I've noticed this with my peers, we have a lot of guilt and we don't feel like we're doing a good job, but we are doing a damn good job. And our kids love us, and they are being raised in an environment where what we used to give to us, or what we do invest into us, gets reinvested into them. And I know he talks about it in the book somewhere in here as well, where they are constantly the ones that are going to receive what we're doing, whether it's good or bad. So I thought that was really cool, because this book definitely has reconnected me to refulfilling my purpose, but not just for my kids anymore. It's for others. It's to be able to give to others. And now I've got this niche where I can do this for other moms too. And so I'm actually doing this book club again with a separate group that I'm going to be leading, because I'm slow in reading, but I'm already at the pages that we need to be in the audiobook. It's because it takes me time. Like, I write a ton of notes and I can take 20 minutes on 4 pages. So it's really cool, because now I'm reinvesting what we're learning here and being able to give that back to a group, but still dedicate the time to myself, and give this back to me to get in that game, which is really cool. And then towards the end of this section, we're reading page 166. Build what you need. Make a conscious effort to surround yourself with positive, nourishing, and uplifting people who believe in you, encourage you to go after your dreams, and applaud your victories. So I think that belief has helped, because again, we have to identify that what we're doing is a good job, and we don't always believe it. So we need to surround ourselves with the people who can encourage us and remind us to do that. And so this has been really helpful at a time when, again, I said I felt lost. And it wasn't that I was lost, it was just I was not guiding myself in the right direction. So I thought that was really cool to just be reminded of. And I'm excited to continue reading over these chapters again, because I've noticed there's some things in the book where I'm like, oh, that can't apply to me. Like the, the release tension, set intention. I'm like, I can release tension and I can go into the next room with the set intention, but then, dog pees on the carpet and a kid is demanding your attention. You're like, where did my intention go? And all of a sudden it's flustered. So it's nice to know that, yes, this book is for me now, but it'll also be for me later again. And I'm not done with this book just this season of our life. It's something we can go back to. So it's nice. It's just really cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
I also liked on page 155 about, the whole analogies of the different types of performers. There's the dabbler, the novice, the amateur players, high performers, and the whole layout of, bringing your A game and the checklist. There was a great checklist, and I thought, okay, I need to look at that every single day and make sure that I am following this, because it's like strong concentration and focused attention are required. Sometimes I'm looking out the window at the chickens, having fights in my yard, and it's very distracting. And then it takes, what do they say? It takes like an hour to rein yourself back in when you're not focused. So I guess I need to shut my blinds so that doesn't distract me. But anyway, I just thought it was a really great list to go over each day as I sit down and bring my A game. And I really appreciate Is it Satara? Is that how you pronounce your name? Satara? How do you pronounce your name?
It's Saturday.
Saturday.
Satara.
Yeah,
That's-
like Desiree Saturday.
Satara. That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
What does that mean?
Star in Farsi.
What is it?
Star.
Star.
Oh,
Star.
star. I'm sorry. Star. Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's right.
Star in Hawaiian is Hoku.
Really? That's cool. Thank you.
I love sharing. I love hearing you guys share that. And I love what you said about being a parent. You've been a high performer as a parent, and I, looking at everybody on here, I know that you are all doing that as well. And so I love that reminder of doing it for ourselves too, with your example of the oxygen mask. One thing that I forgot was in this section, because I'm reading and listening as well. Like I listen to it about 2 times in the week and then read it. And then sometimes when I'm listening, I get ahead. But it was in this section, the part about leveling up your squad. You guys like that section? It really made me think of a couple things. I want to share a couple quotes from it, but it really made me think of an example. I have a really good friend. He went to the same high school as me. And his name is Josh. But anyway, he's my age. I'm 41. He's like 39 probably. And he became a pro BMX rider. They built ramps in his mom and dad's backyard, and he does all the flips and all the stuff. And he became a pro BMX rider, like in the Dew Tour and all these big events. But the cool thing is there's about 6 other pros in Idaho Falls, and there's only 50,000 people in Idaho Falls. So out of the pro BMXers, there's like 6 pro BMXers from a small town of 50,000. And it really reminded me of this. Well, when I was reading this, I was like, that's so true. Because I'm going to find the exact thing. I'll find a couple of the quotes that made me think of that. They are more strategic and consistent in seeking to work with others at or above their level of competence, experience, or overall success. And so I think about these kids. Bring your squad and their standards up. You'll become a more extraordinary person. And oh man, I want to find this one that was really good. Okay. Anyway, summarizing that fact, it's because these kids were surrounded by someone who was better or greater than them at something that they aspired to. So because they hung out consistently with him and saw him do new tricks, go on to do different things, these kids also were leveled up with him. Does that make sense? And so they kind of created this pod, this squad of people that were becoming extraordinary. And the one thing that I wanted to share from this that stood out to me, however, were 2 things. Is one, I love the how-tos of becoming a high performer. He says, find 2 lifelong mentors, older, wiser, highly respected, successful people. So he says to find 2 mentors. And one of them, if I remember right, was someone of great influence or wisdom that you can learn from. And then one of them was like someone in your specific field of what you're doing. But you got to change that one every 2 to 3 years, because you rise up and then you need to find somebody that's further ahead. And that's one place I've fallen extremely short of. Like, I can't tell you right now, somebody that I'm talking to consistently that is further than me in this field. And so that was an aha moment to me, once again, of like, dude, you need to get around other people that are doing more than you. So that was the first thing that I liked. But it also triggered me to think outside of business, of finding someone like that in, like, I don't want to say church, but in a spiritual aspect, of someone who lives their life and their standards to the highest, that I look up to, and I'm like, wow, they really do things the right way all of the time. Finding people, mentors like that as well, that you can surround yourself with, because you do become who you surround yourself with. So I really love that. And like, even listening to that, I was like, man, I might change our whole team name to the level up squad or something like that, because we need to be consistently leveling up. But anyway, that's all I'll share from there. I really love that aspect because I realized I was falling short in that.
I like that name.
Yeah. All right, who else wants to share? I love the comments about being a mom and being a dad.
Yeah, can I just want to comment on that too, because
Yeah.
being a mom is a hard job. You're not just a mom, you're the wife, you're or partner, you're a cook, you're the cleaner, you're the bill payer, you're the chauffeur, you're doing all these things and lose yourself and your identity through all of that. But it's just a season. It's a season of your life and you have to embrace it and, you know, pick your little that you focus on you and enjoy that hour or the 30 minutes you go lock yourself in the bathroom. You know, I've heard moms do that. They go and lock themselves in the bathroom and their kids going, "Mom, let me in," and she says, "No, go away." You know? But it's a valuable job and you're teaching your children invaluable lessons. So you need to just focus on that right now. You know, you don't need to, but I choose to focus on my daughter when she was that age and picked careers that I could work at when she was not home. I don't know how old your kids are, but once she got into school, it was really easy for me as a massage therapist to find a job that fit those hours. So I was always there for her. So anyway, just want to share that.
That's awesome.
To all you moms, it's a big job.
Laura, I just wanted to say that I love that you said I choose to, because it is a choice. We get to make these choices, how we respond to things, if we're reactive, if we're attentive, and it is so true. It is a choice. And I know that's something we have to remind ourselves of too. So that was encouraging. Thank you.
Anybody else want to share today? And if not, we don't have to go a full hour. Anybody else want to share? I see someone that thinks they want to, but they're not sure.
Hi, my name's Ina. I just want to share, I can really relate to what Sature was talking about. Just because I feel that way all the time. I've been a stay-at-home mom for 14 years, so I'm just beginning to step out and just figure out what to do. And I'm an introvert, so the part in the book where it talks about where high performers can also be introverts was a big help. So, yeah, that's what I want to share for now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And being
Thank
a
you.
stay-at-home mom of 14 years, that is a lot of work as well.
Yes.
Yes, I'm very introverted as well. And so I love hearing that as well. I fortunately heard a lot of that from the very beginning when I started. So it kind of helped me believe like, okay, so if other introverts are doing this, I can too. But I think one of the things, just speaking to introverts, I know it kind of goes off the path of high performance here, is I think for me, what's like the benefit of being an introvert for me was my whole life, I was really good at picking something I wanted to master, whether it was playing the guitar, playing the bass guitar, skateboarding, snowboarding, playing the piano, any of these things that I've learned how to do over my life. It wasn't a challenge for me to get home from school, go into my bedroom with my guitar and my sheet music and stay there for 5 hours working on mastering something. And so when it came to building this business, it was like, okay, what's the to-do list? Like, what are the things to build this business? And it was easy for me to put my kids to bed. And then from 9 o'clock to midnight, just be in my little makeshift office and just go through the list, like learning all the things I need to do and applying them and working on mastering it without I didn't have to leave, go to a party and talk to everybody or get on a stage. I could just sit down and do all the work, be my introverted self in my room and just work on mastering the tasks. So awesome. Cool. Anybody else want to share before we wrap up for today? Yes, Ricky, I look forward to these as well. I'm kind of bummed I'm going to miss next week. But once again, if anybody does want to host it, you can just text me or shoot me a Facebook message and I'll give you my login and you can host it. It's not scary. Ask Laura. She did it last minute. If the call is 20 minutes, it's 20 minutes. If it's an hour, there's no expectations. It's just to bring people together and share. Cool. Well, we're going to wrap it up today. I'm grateful that you guys were all here, and let's look at the assignment for next week before we go out, just so that we are aware of what it is. Got it in my notes here. If someone beats me to it, by all means. Okay. Week 4, pages 1. This is a long one, 171 through 253, 82 pages. So it's going to be about 11, 12 pages a day. It's from section 2, the start of social habits, to where habit 6, demonstrate courage, starts. So it might be good for someone to jump ahead and read demonstrate courage and then reach out to me about hosting the book club. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys for being on here. This is recorded. So if you have anybody reading along with you and they want to watch back, you can send it to them. And I'm excited to see what you guys take away and share next week. And we'll see you guys later. Thanks for coming. Bye, guys.